I did do a little bit more of a search into this, and apparently Joe Exotic himself only owns about 1%. About 1% of the Tiger coin, which isn't a lot. So it's not like a ton of money is going to him from this project anyway, from what I can see, when you could just consider 1%. And a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about this, right? It's contentious because Matt is even though he started as a general crypto YouTuber, he really built most of his following off of being a daily Dogecoin content creator. And to Matt's credit, he was really the first guy out there that was making daily Dogecoin content and really did end up drawing a lot of positive attention to Dogecoin all throughout that time, and, you know, continues to do so. But I can also understand people's perspective all of a sudden when this new fringe coin with a controversial figure tied to it just kind of comes on the scene. I can see how some people get confused and rattled and really don't care for it. So I can kind of see both sides in this thing. I will say that Matt has been overall pretty transparent about it. And it just kind of comes down to if it rubs you the wrong way or not. If it's a big deal to you or not. If this is something that you think is a decent investment for you or not. My perspective is this, like, I actually respect people's opinions that are frustrated by this. Like, I get it. I also think it's important, guys, to keep in mind that we don't spend the majority of our time giving our attention to the things that we have differences over and within the Doge community. I think it's important that we make sure overall that we're focusing on the things that we have in common. And that includes, Matt Wallace, in my opinion. What are your thoughts, Nick?
Wow, that's a lot to take in. That was probably the most complex question I've ever been asked. Let's start with the first thing. Is the Tigerking Joseph Maldonado passage guilty of the crime that he supposedly committed? I don't really think so.
You mean in terms of the murder charge?
Yes, in terms of the murder.
Okay.
He supposedly contracted a hitman who has the below his IQ is basically he's like a convalescent. He didn't have the wherewithal to be able to do what he supposedly paid him to do, and there's very little evidence that he actually paid him to do it, and it's all wacky. Not to say, okay, so here's another thing you have to take into account. A lot of people who are anti or going against, let's just keep on the Tigerking thing, the Tigerking coin, are going at this route that Joe Exotic was an animal abuser. And to some extent that is true. He had way too many tigers on a very small parcel of land. I don't think he was purposefully harming animals, meaning I don't think he was a horrible, horrific guy on purpose. I think this is like a kind of a what do you call it? It's like a pack rat type of situation, but with animals. Like, this guy would just take in as many tigers as he possibly could, not thinking of, I have to feed these things and take care of these, and they're tigers. He had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tigers. It's insane. So, it's a nuanced story. The whole thing, I find it all really fascinating. I love the show. I thought it was amazing. Yeah. So that is a point of contention. Like, if you don't trust that guy, which I'm not gonna be buying Tigerking myself.
Yeah.
And part of it is because I just don't I wouldn't trust Joe Exotic with my money.
Right.
I think he's a funny, hilarious dude. I'd love to hang out with him, but I wouldn't be loaning him $1 million or anything like that. So yeah, that's something you have to take into account. Now, on the topic of Matt Wallace, for those that hadn't followed Matt since before Doge took off, Matt had been posting content about many cryptos, and he had been doing that for a long time. I think that here's a problem. I think Matt went about supporting this BSC token totally the wrong way. And I think part of the issue right now is that so much of the community there's so much backlash against him, and he's such a young guy. He's got it in his head that instead of, letting the situation cool off and just moving on, he's instead deciding to double down, which is almost never the right decision. It's usually not the right choice. I think he probably could have, put out, his what do you want to call it? His backing of this project in a different way or in a different manner, and it might have gone over a lot better. But that being said, Matt is a young kid. He's not in his 30s or 40s. He doesn't have the life experience that a later aged person has. So he's gonna make mistakes. He's gonna do stuff that not everyone is gonna agree with, and he's gonna lose and has lost a portion of his audience because of it. Now, if he feels like that was the right move, that's fine, and he can do that. And more power to him. People are concerned about because of the broad and the big platform that he has. People are concerned that he is bringing a bad name to the Doge community because of how big he is. We have to remember, just like we used to say with Elon, when people were claiming that Elon was solely responsible for the Dogecoin market, Matt Wallace is not solely responsible for the Dogecoin market. Dogecoin is not Matt Wallace, and Matt Wallace is not Dogecoin. He, to some extent, does a really good job representing Doge most of the time.
Yeah, I agree.
But Dogecoin does not rest on his back, so, and nor should it. So I don't feel like Matt Wallace could come out tomorrow and say Dogecoin is the worst crypto ever. I'm never supporting it ever again. Screw you guys, I'm out. Doge would still be Doge the next day. And we all have to keep that in mind. I am still friends with Matt.
Oh, me too.
I continue to root for Matt, and I hope that maybe he's listening to this, and maybe he reaches out. I'd love for Matt to reach out. I'd love to talk to Matt sometime, because I think right now he might be. I know how hard he works. I know he's burnt out. He's probably flustered. He's probably being pulled in a million different directions. And I think that he just should pump the brakes a little bit. And I think that could do him a lot of good. And who knows? He could come back, and he clearly has the tools. Matt has the tools to boom communities. Like, he does know how to do it. But I think he's still a young guy who's finding his footing, and I wish him nothing but the best. And I hope things work out, and I'd like to see him do well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all your thoughts on that, Nick. The bottom line to me is this: Matt genuinely thinks Joe Exotic's innocent. He wasn't paid or sponsored by Tigercoin. He looked at the stats, he researched it, and he genuinely feels, I mean, I've talked to him personally about this because I was curious and I asked him hard questions. He genuinely feels that Tigercoin's a good investment, long and short term. That being said, I understand people not agreeing with it. I get it. I get it that people don't want to see too close of an association between Dogecoin and Tigercoin. Personally, I think the focus of Doge's closest association should be Ethereum. That being said, people want to invest in Tigercoin. More power to them. And in fact, so far, Matt has proved to be correct in terms of market value on Tigercoin. Tigercoin has been going up exponentially. People that have been taking his advice on Tigerking so far anyway, have been doing quite well as a result. And as Matt's journey here switches gears, it's not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be for everyone. And if those people feel they just want to stop consuming his content and unfollow him for this new direction, I totally get that. Other people don't seem to mind so much. And I also noticed that his Twitter audience from his YouTube audience definitely seems to be distinctly different tones. He seems to get a lot more of a backlash on Twitter, and his YouTube audience seems to be a lot more generally supportive, and it doesn't get hung up on the differences too much. Actually, I don't really have much more to add on that. But guys, other than this, I don't think it's good for the Doge community to continuously get in heated squabbles about this. I don't see how that's beneficial. Matt, love it or hate the direction he's taking, he has been transparent about it. He may very well be even watching now. And he weighed in on our show. I don't think you were on it. I think I flew solo. Yeah, I flew solo, Nick, last time I was on, the night before last, right? Matt was watching, and Matt came in the chat, and to his credit, Matt said, hey, listen, I'm up $300,000 since I made this decision. And I was surprised he was that candid about it. And when I've watched him on his videos talk about it, he's been pretty blunt and pretty candid about it. That's either a trip that you don't mind or it's a trip that you disagree with. And I understand both perspectives on that people have on it. One thing, can say he's been pretty upfront with about what he's doing with it and what he's gaining from it. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I'd like to say that there has been a lot of accusations volleyed at Matt that he was paid off by Tigerking to do this, essentially. Mm-hmm. And there's been tons of people have accused him of this, and that was like the main point of contention when this whole thing first popped off. Mm-hmm. However, there is no evidence of that, whatsoever. Matt has made his own decisions in his investments since day one.
Yes.
I wholeheartedly believe that Matt was not paid off by Tigerking Coin to do this.
I don't think so either.
If there's any kind of evidence that says other, but I highly doubt that that's a thing. I really doubt that that's a thing. Every crypto that is at all-time highs, doesn't matter what it is, Bitcoin or otherwise, is a house of cards. The higher the house is built, the greater the possibility that, and it's not even a possibility, it's a guarantee that house of cards is going to come tumbling down. So the higher the price of this token rises, the greater of a chance, if you're a new investor to it, if you're just buying in right now, that you're going to be left holding the bag. That's my only issue with this whole thing. To Matt's defense, he started telling people about this, I think over a week ago now.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not like he definitely was talking about this way before it took off.
Right. And he was giving people a heads up, like, hey, if you get in now, This is obviously going to be the most advantageous time, in my opinion, by far. And he did say, you know, in a recent video, I heard him say something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not going to, all of a sudden, I'm not going to suddenly pull my investment out, because he does have for the market cap of this coin, he is one of the whales. He said, I'm not pulling, I will not pull out suddenly. I will keep my audience abreast to exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. And he even said on one of his lives recently, he said, if I think this thing is going to go sideways, I'll let you guys know. Now, I'm willing to take him at face value, you know, at this point. And the good thing about time and crypto is we always find out the answers. So the more time goes on, we will see how this shakes out, how this shapes up, and how Matt handles it in the long term of it. I think what we have here is just an unfortunate timing of events in terms of people being really upset about this, because already the natives are restless, okay? Dogecoin is not doing well. Overall, the market is not doing well. Most of the people that are into crypto anyway, that watch the show, are bullish, very bullish on Doge. Why? Because I'm a very bullish Doge-centric content creator. Duh. When the guy who is the #1 by views and popularity, the #1 Doge-centric content creator, comes out of left field with a Tigerking coin when Doge is doing very poorly and the market's doing very poorly, it gives people a reason, like, it's this kind of behavior is why, you know, is Doge is doing so poorly and will do even worse. And so I think right now people are just looking for answers, right? And we've seen this in the past. This isn't anything new in terms of that, where whenever the market does really poorly, people tend to get a bit more touchy. People tend to get a bit more angry about things and looking for, searching for things to attribute it to. One thing is for sure, guys, I can guarantee you, when we hit another bull market, and we will hit another bull market, and we will hit another Doge bull run, people aren't going to be thinking about this shit at all.
100%.
There's all this stuff that we're quivering about, all these like back and forths going right now on social media about all this. Once we hit a bull run, it's all going to fall by the wayside, and people are going to forget why they were so upset to begin with.